Hi everyone. I wonder if we should make a start. Welcome everybody to this year's annual general meetings of Plymouth Energy Community Trust, Plymouth Energy Community Homes and Plymouth Energy Community Benefit Society. I'm Ian Hutchcroft, I'm Chair of PEC Trust, but before we start I'll hand over to Alistair, Chief Executive of the PEC family, to cover a few housekeeping points and to make sure that you can all hear and see everything that you need to and understand how tonight's voting procedures are going to run. Over to you, Alistair.
Thank you, Ian. Welcome everybody. Welcome to our annual roller coaster of annual general meetings. Firstly, just in terms of just housekeeping, in case you're having any trouble joining, hearing, seeing kind of thing, you can always leave and try and come back in again, turn your computer on and off, or if all else fails, email us at support@Plymouth Energy Community, and we've got somebody watching that email box, and we'll try and get you involved in some form. We are recording this meeting, so for purposes of transparency, and we can share this with our members later. It will be published on our website. If you don't want to be seen, you can just turn off your camera, but please do leave it on if you can. It's much nicer. It feels much more human if we can actually see you. And as a community organisation, humanity's a good thing. You've probably clocked it already, but to keep a background noise to a minimum and allow the audio to work well, we have kind of muted everybody. So if you have a question, you want to be heard in some form, stick your hand up or put a question in the chat. That would be great, and then we can unmute your microphone at an appropriate time to deal with that. If we can keep the chat to kind of AGM related business rather than sharing your cat videos, that would be welcome. Thank you. Just a little bit of context before we dive into the formal business. As you know, we're a family of charitable organisations, cooperative organisations, social enterprise organisations. We've got a cooperative ethos and we want the community at our heart. So good governance is important to us. I won't say it's what gets us out of bed in the morning, but impact does. And the stuff that we're doing in the locality is what's really important to us. We've published as part of the documentation pack our 2024 impact report. Please take the time to read that. Even if you work for the organisation 5 days a week, read it. Even if you have come to meetings regularly, read it. If you're this first time you've been in touch for a while, definitely read it. Feel proud, because you are part of the story of generating that impact. So we'll put the link in the chat so you can have a look at it after this call, but it was circulated with the papers. Just by a way of other I guess context, it is worth stating these are exciting times. The new government's approach to GB Energy, local power plan, brings a really encouraging shift in policy and intent towards community-driven energy solutions. And for over a decade, we have struggled against that tide of government policy. It's been absent the support. We've still achieved a great deal. But I think 2024 will be marked as the year when we started to dream about what could actually be realised if Whitehall was with us rather than as against us. I mean, in that context, we've still generated 5,500 megawatt hours of clean power. That clean power generation's generated 125 k's worth of surplus that's gone back into our core activities within the community. We've supported over 1,800 households through the city with guidance on retrofit and on our affordable warmth casework, resulting in over £1 million worth of total benefits and savings and grants going back into local people's pockets. We've saved community organisations over 200,000 through the work we do in energy efficiency and renewables. And we've supported 540 primary school children to understand more about solar. That's just a few headlines of what we've been doing. Our approach to local energy puts local people at the heart of our energy economy. Fundamentally, it's seeking to make those energy innovations we need and their associated investments work actively to reduce poverty and inequality And in doing so, we want to build in the key principles of justice and equity into the solutions that our climate requires. So what is really exciting is these concepts are now at the heart of what government is seeking to achieve. And so we really, really hope that government looks to Plymouth as an example of what can be achieved elsewhere. We think every area needs a PEC or an equivalent of a PEC operating in those to deal with the transition. And again, we hope that that new government support will lead to more local action on renewables, retrofit and poverty. So exciting times, watch this space, and I'll see you next year to tell you more. For now, the AGM mechanics. So in this meeting, we're covering the AGMs of PEC Trust, PEC Homes and PEC Plymouth Energy Community CBS. And we'll seek to do that in short order. We'll run them in the order of PEC Trust, then PEC Community Benefit Society, and then PEC Homes. You'll only be able to, there are very different proposals, resolutions that have come out as part of the AGM paperwork. You'll only be able to vote on the decisions of the entity that you are a member of. And so to add to the confusion, some of the entities have both members and supporters. And since only members can vote, we first need to ensure that everyone present is clear which entity they're able to vote on. The resolutions in these AGMs require a majority show of hands of the members present. It is sometimes tricky in this online world to count the number of hands in favour. And therefore this year we propose to do something wonderfully innovative called backwards voting, which I mean, we will ask for those who wish to abstain to raise their hands first, and then those who wish to vote no or against the proposal to raise their hands second. And from there, it's pretty easy to work out whether we've got a majority in favour. Each chair will make the instructions clear before asking people to vote, but we will be following that pattern for all the voting on all the entities that are coming up. Before we continue, we want to check that everyone has the ability to use their raise the hand button to vote. You should be able to see the hand-shaped outline, which will either appear towards the top of your screen, or when you move your mouse, it should appear in the black bar. Please, can you all have a try at selecting the hand button? James, can you give me a nod if we've got like a good show of hands and everyone finding it?
Yep, looks like it.
Brilliant. So has anybody got any questions about how we intend to run the voting? Is that clear for everyone? Okay. So all the hands are going down. I had those hands from a question. I think. Okay, all the hands are down. Don't think, Jamie, any questions in the chat?
It doesn't look like it, no.
Good. All right, let's crack on then. So before we start the formal proceedings, we need to ensure the number of members present for each AGM is enough to make the AGMs quorate in accordance with our rules. And so we'll, at the beginning of each of the entities' AGMs, we'll read out the members from those entities that have registered to attend. That will take a little bit, it'll be a bit like a school lesson when we take the register, but if you can please bear with us whilst we run through that. So, James, firstly, can you just, so we can check the members present, and then we have quorum for PEC Trust. Can you please read out the members of PEC Trust?
Yeah, so I'm going to read out the list of people who have registered prior to the event. It looks like there's a few people who have joined who were members but who hadn't registered, but I will start by reading the list as we expected for attendance. So starting with yourself, Alistair, obviously, we know you're here. Andrew Shadrake, Anne Skulski, Christine White, Chris Pemberthy, Dan Godfrey, David Madge, Dean Bowles, Didier Cavrot, Donna Ryle, Duncan Tringham, Liz Wells, Ian Hutchcroft, Ian Johnston, Jacob Whitnall, Jake Burnett, myself, Jane Philby, Jason Hargreaves, Gemma Knowles, Joe Atke, John Fearon, Jonathan Selman, Kate McAvoy, Katie Hughes, Lee Richards, Liam Crayford, Libby Isaac, Maggie Innes, Marcella Finazzi, Mohammed Chand, Nick Carter, Nikki Durbin, Owen Riles, Paul Elliott, Paul Hardman, Peter Warm, Ray Porter, Sophie Brain, Tina Blagdon, Tracy Ebrill, and Zoe Sydenham.
Thank you, James. So I think we're clear we are core for PEC Trust. We think we needed 10 members of PEC Trust to be present, and so roll call confirms that we're core. So at that point, I'm going to hand back to Ian to lead us through the formal business. You're muted, Ian, at the moment.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great, great. Thank you. Thanks, Alistair. And thanks everybody for coming this evening. As Alistair said, governance isn't the thing that gets us out of bed in the morning, but it's really important, particularly to an organisation that is all about a fair transition to a zero carbon community. And the way we get fairness is democracy, and this is democracy in action. I hope you're all going to be able to take part, as Alistair has indicated, with voting for the right actions. If you've got questions to ask, we'll have a slot at the end of this AGM where you can ask questions, and you can also use the chat function in the meeting as well to say anything or raise anything that you'd like to. So again, repeating what Alistair said, I hope you've all read the annual report of the PEC family. It forms the background to this AGM, and it provides the context for who we are, what we do, how we do it, and most importantly, what's the impact of what we do. A reminder that, as Alistair said, you can only support a resolution on this agenda if you are a PEC Trust member, if your name's read out by James just now. So we've confirmed that we're quorate for this meeting, which is the first hurdle passed. The second item on the agenda is our apologies, and we've had apologies received from Claire Mans, Tom Bryersdelve, Jess Hollyland, Sophie Short, Sarah Lee, Amy Cox, and Jill Peel. The third item on the agenda is to receive the trustees' report and audited financial statements for the period ending the 30th of June 2024. And for this, please can I ask for somebody to propose the report and financial statements, and then I'll ask for somebody to second as well. So first of all, can I have a proposer, please?
Owen has his hand up.
Thank you, Owen. And a seconder, please. That's Paul. I can see Paul Elliott's hand up. Thank you, Paul. To ensure that this is supported by the majority of PEC Trust members present, as explained by Alistair, I'm going to ask in reverse to the conventional order. Please can PEC Trust members only raise their virtual hands if they wish to abstain from this vote. And Liz will have recorded how many abstentions. I didn't see any. I will now ask the PEC Trust members who wish to vote against. Please raise your hand. Liz will record that, and again, I didn't see any hands raised. Thank you. So we've got a majority, if not a unanimity, of PEC Trust members in favour of this resolution, and as such, this resolution is approved. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is to reappoint Bromhead, who are now known as TC Bromhead Chartered Accountants, as the auditors of the organisation for the next year, and to authorise the trustees to set out their remuneration. Please can I have a proposer for this recommendation? Owen's hand is up. Thank you, Owen. Please can I have a seconder?
Mohammed Shanda has got his hand up.
Thank you, Mohammed. To ensure that this is supported by the majority of PEC Trust members, we're going to do the same again. I'll ask you to indicate your vote in reverse to the conventional order. So please can PEC Trust members only raise their virtual hands if they wish to abstain from this vote. And Liz will record that. I didn't see any hands raised. And now, if any PEC Trust members would wish to vote against the recommendation, please raise your hands now. And I don't see any hands raised. Liz will record that formally. And thank you very much. That motion is carried. The next item on the agenda, item 5, is to elect the trustees in accordance with the required voting process. As per the PEC Trust articles, each year 1/3 of the elected trustees must stand down. The trustees standing down this year are Jess Hollyland and Paul Hardman. Jess Hollyland does not wish to restand, although she will continue as a director on the PEC Management Services Board. And on behalf of all the trustees and members, I'd like to thank Jess for her time and commitment to the board over the last 3 years. We'll miss Jess. Paul Hardman is standing down and standing for re-election. And one new nomination has come forward from the membership. This is Zoe Sydenham, who has been serving as a co-opted trustee on the board since 2022. So she's now standing to be an elected member of the board. Candidates for election to the board of PEC Trust are summarised by their statements, which have been issued via email or post. For 2 vacant positions on the board, there have been 2 nominations. Therefore, as per our election policy, a ballot is not required. As the number of valid nominations are the same as or fewer than the number of positions, those candidates shall be deemed elected, providing a simple majority of votes cast by members affirms the candidacy by a show of hands at the AGM. To ensure that this is supported by the majority of PEC Trust members present, I'll again ask you to indicate your vote in reverse to the conventional order. So, for Paul Hardman, please can PEC Trust members only raise their virtual hands if they wish to abstain from this vote. Thank you. I can't see any hands raised. Liz will record that formally. And now for if any PEC Trust members would wish to vote against Paul Hardman's recommendation for the board, please raise your hand now. Again, I don't see any hands raised. Liz will record that formally, and by process of elimination, we have a unanimity of PEC Trust members present in favour of Paul Hardman serving as a PEC trustee for another term. Thank you, Paul. You're a great asset to the board, and look forward to working with you again for the coming year. Thank you. So now for Zoe Sydenham, who is standing for election to the PEC Trust board. Please can PEC Trust members only raise their virtual hands if they wish to abstain from this vote. I don't see any hands raised. Liz will record that formally. And now, if any PEC Trust members wish to vote against, please raise your hand now. And again, I can't see any hands raised. Liz will record that formally, and therefore we have a unanimity of PEC Trust members in favour of Zoe Sydenham becoming a PEC Trust trustee. Welcome on board again, Zoe, as an elected trustee this time, and very much look forward to working with you again this year. Great. Okay, so we're just about at the end of the formal business, but first, before we end, are there any questions? And if you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand or type into the chat function now. I'm just going to have a little look at the chat function. Liz, do you have your hand?
Yeah, only me to start with. Just want to make sure that people don't think we're precluding them by this backwards voting technique. So I've had one person, John, saying that he didn't have the option to vote. So John, if you could just try raising your hand now just to make sure it does work for you, please.
It's gone up.
So it's gone up. So yeah, so hopefully you're happy that you did have the option to abstain, and therefore will take the backwards voting as a okay approach. But please do put something else in the chat, John, if you aren't happy with that. Thank you. Thanks, Ian. That was it.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, John. Are there any other questions anybody would like to raise? You can put your hand up virtually using the same function, or type something into the chat. And if you want to say anything, you'll have to unmute yourself. Okay, I can't see or hear any questions. So by that, thanks everyone. That's the end of the PEC Trust AGM meeting this year. Now it's over to Michelle, who's the chair of PEC Community Benefit Society, to start the PEC CBS board meeting. Over to you, Michelle.
Liz, do we need to do a little bit about being quorate first?
Yes, please. And the other thing I should say is anyone who is not a PEC CBS or a PEC Homes member is also welcome to leave at this point, should they wish to. In terms of quorate and for this specific PEC CBS meeting, I've got 12 people, so we're definitely quorate, but I'll just read those people off to confirm who they are and who's got the option to vote on this AGM. So that is Alistair McPherson, Chris Pemberthy, Didier Caverill, Duncan Tringham, Greg Wotton. I beg your pardon, I'm reading off the wrong list. I'm going to start that again. Sorry. Right. PEC CBS, Alistair, Chris Penberthy, myself, Jason Hargreaves, Gemma Knowles, John Fearon, John Selman, Kieran Van Bussel, Lee Richards, yourself, Michelle, Paul Elliott, Tamsin Radford, and Zoe Sydenham. So we have 13 and we only need 3, so we're well quorate. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you. Then, Alistair, did you want to say anything?
I think Liz just stepped very ably into my role of checking quorum, so no worries.
All right, great. So yeah, without further ado, welcome to the PEC CBS annual general meeting. It is just formal proceedings. Liz has just let you know who's eligible to vote here, and we will use the same process as we did just now for the PEC Trust AGM, and we'll use the reverse voting procedure as well. So hopefully that will be nice and clear to everyone. So apologies, first thing, were received from Jill Peel and Claire Mains. Our first item is to receive the Director's Report and financial statements for the year ending 30th of June 2024. Please can someone raise a hand to propose that? Thank you, Gemma. And somebody, when that's gone down, somebody to second it. Paul, thank you very much. Paul Elliott. So we're going to do the reverse order voting. So if you're a PEC CBS member and you would like to abstain from this vote, please raise your hand now. Okay, I don't see any hands. If you're a PEC CBS member and you would like to vote against the reception of those report and financial statements, please raise your hand now. Okay, I don't see any hands. So that means that by process of elimination, that motion is carried. The next piece of business is to elect the directors. According to the articles, each year, one of the elected directors needs to stand down, or 1/3 needs to stand down, but that means one person. The director standing down will be John Fearon, and John is standing for re-election, which is great news. Thank you, John. So there's one vacant position and there's one nomination. That means that that candidate shall be deemed elected, providing a simple majority here affirm that by a show of hands. And we can do that in the reverse voting way that we just did. So for John Fearon, being re-elected as a director of PEC CBS, please raise your hand if you would like to abstain from that vote. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. And any PEC CBS members who would like to vote against that, please raise your hand now. Super. Okay, so John is unanimously re-elected, which is really good news. Thank you, John. Good to have you again. The only remaining thing then is to just check whether there are any questions from anyone. Any questions? If you've got any questions, please do raise your hand, pop it in the chat or unmute yourself. That's any of those is fine. Okay, I'm not seeing anything there. So that is the end of the formal proceedings of the PEC CBS AGM, and I will hand over to Alistair.
Thank you, Michelle. And thank you everyone for staying with us. So we now move into the annual general meeting for PEC Homes. Clive Turner, the chair of PEC Homes, has had to give his apologies, having been on the waiting list for a knee appointment for a very, very long time. He occurred up with this, it clashed with this slot, so he wished he could be here. He's asked me to chair this slot in his absence. We've already covered the housekeeping. Housekeeping will be the same as before, so we'll jump straight into the formal proceedings. But we do just, and then the first one of those is to check quorum. Liz, can you please read out the members of PEC Homes so we can check we are quorum?
Yeah, thank you. So again, I'm already satisfied myself that we're quorum. We have in attendance yourself, Alistair, Chris Pemberthy, Didier Cavreau, Duncan Tringham, Greg Watton, Ian Hutchcroft, Jane Philby, Gemma Knowles, Joe Atke, John Selman, Michelle Virgo, and Peter Warm.
Thank you, Liz. So I can confirm we are quorum.
Yep.
Right. So on to the after quorum, the second item of business is just to take the apologies, and we have apologies noted already from Clive Turner and Hilary Kalinski. Are there any other apologies?
Only our company secretary, Jill Peel.
Jill Peel as well. Thank you. Third item of business is to receive the director's report and unaudited financial statements for the period ending the 30th of June 2024. So can I have a proposer for that, please? Gemma Knowles, thank you. And a seconder, I think I saw Chris Pemberthy. Okay, is that all captured? So we, following the proposer and seconder, we now vote in reverse order as before. So can please can the PEC Homes members who wish to abstain from this vote raise their hands? Very good. I think no abstentions. I can't say that. Any PEC Homes members who wish to vote against the proposal, please raise your hands now. Great. And I really feel, if there's anyone's feeling a bit shortchanged about not being able to put their hand up in favour of something, please put your hand up now. Otherwise, by process of elimination, we will take as a majority of PEC Home members in favour of this resolution. Thank you for those practicing your hands. It's good to get a bit of exercise on a Thursday night. So the next point of business is to reappoint Bromhead, formerly Bromhead, now known as TC Bromhead Chartered Accountants, as the auditors of the company for the ensuing year, and to authorise the directors to set their remuneration. Again, please can I have a proposer? Greg, thank you. And a seconder. I see Joe Atke fast on the bottom. Are you happy? Thank you. And now to ensure that it's supported by the majority of PEC Homes members, I'm going to play reverse voting again. So please can the PEC Home members who wish to abstain, please raise your hands now. Okay, any PEC Home members who wish to vote against, please raise your hands now. Okay, no hands raised, I believe. So thank you. Again, by process of elimination, we have a majority of PEC Homes members in favour of this resolution. Finally, we now need to elect directors. As per the PEC Homes article, each year 1/3 of the elected directors must stand down. And this year, that director is Clive Turner. Fortunately, in his absence, he is restanding. He did, agree to it. We're not just putting him up to it. So he's re-standing for election, and you would have seen a summary of his credentials in the papers circulated for this meeting. As we only have one vacant position and one nomination, a ballot is therefore not required, and we just need a majority show of hands to present to affirm the candidacy. So again, we will ask you to indicate your vote in reverse to the conventional order. So voting for Clive, no, if you wish to abstain for voting to Clive Turner, please raise your hands now. No. Anyone wishing to vote against Clive Turner coming back to the board, please raise your hands now. Excellent. He will be relieved. So yeah, Clive can be, as a majority of PEC Homes members, voting in favour of him. So that is the end of the PEC Homes AGM formal business. Again, I'd like to open the floor to questions, and if anyone has any. Okay, thank you very, very much for staying with us. We are I think that's 39 minutes into a three organisation AGM. Thank you for attending and bearing with us with the formal business. It's important stuff for us to do. And we appreciate your ongoing support. We hope to see you again very, very soon. I'll see a few of you again in the PEC Renewables AGM, which will be going on a separate link, which you will have received separately. Thank you. Good luck. Enjoy the snow, and see you soon.